All right, let's shift topics now to Milwaukee County Sheriff David Clarke,
Yeah.
who, surprise, he's made controversial comments that are getting some criticism. Why don't you, James, tell us, for those who missed them, tell us what they were and what your take on them was.
I mean, where do you start? I mean,
well, let's start with the most recent one.
Okay.
We're just talking the last 3 days.
Last 3 days. Okay. Well, first, I wrote about this, and Dan has as well. I mean, he talked and said that, well, let's talk about ISIS first. He said that the Black Lives Matter and ISIS will team up to overthrow the government, which is absolutely ridiculous. And then before he said that, he was talking about the Black Lives Matter campaign, which he calls the Black Lives Matter campaign on Fox. And he said some statements where he talked about the protesters, and he said police should not protect the protesters, and he said basically he wants chaos to take place, and then he wants the cops to come in and clean things up, which I don't think anybody wants to see that happen.
And he referred to them as subhuman.
Oh yeah, subhuman creatures or creeps or something to that effect. And he seems like to be the type of guy that's lost touch with a lot of things that's going on.
And then the other thing that he said this week was that police brutality had ended
in the 60s.
Ended in the 60s,
Right.
and police racism was no longer an issue. And he cited
A Harvard study.
which we're trying to figure out what that is. And when we asked what study, he said, call Harvard.
They only do 1 or 2 studies a year out there. They should be able to.
The hard thing with him is, he does have a sense of humor, and so is the ISIS thing with that he says Black Lives Matter and ISIS are going to join forces. Is he just like, is this hyperbole? I don't think he really believes that's the case. No one really believes that's going to happen. Is it just, is it just rhetoric that's intended to undermine the Black Lives Matter movement, to say, first they're subhuman, that the issues they're raising are not legitimate, and then finally they're so outrageous and so far out there they're just like ISIS. They're subversive and they're against our. I don't know. I wonder sometimes. There are times when he talks to me and I talk to him. Then there are other times when he's referring to me, as he did in the email this week, as Danny Boy. That's it. I just wondered when I was reading that thing, he can't obviously believe that, but it seems like he's very much like Ann Coulter. He's trying to be more outrageous with everything that he says, and he's been out there for a year saying, more and more.
But being outrageous, look what that has gotten. It gets him on TV all the time. It gives him this national platform so he can spout off anytime he wants. It seems like he's on Fox every week. And so
every week
it appears that way.
No, I was going to say more than that.
Yeah. Well, it seems. Sheriff Clarke, he's certainly he seems to always have a end point in mind, that there's a goal, right? So there's a purpose behind what he's doing. Do you think? It doesn't seem to be that he wants to run for mayor or county executive.
No,
what do you think he's?
I don't think he has any interest in running for mayor. I think he would like to run for mayor, but I don't think he thinks he can beat Tom Barrett.
He can't.
And I think he might be interested in running for Congress, but he can't beat Gwen Moore, I don't think.
No.
So, but what he wants to be is, he wants to be a prominent black conservative voice, which he is becoming.
I thought he was a Democrat.
he is, he's a Democrat on paper.
Okay.
But I think he does want to be I think he wants to be like J.C. Watts was a few years ago, a prominent African-American conservative. But right now he's been pigeonholed so far on law and order issues. He hasn't talked too much, has he, about political stuff outside of criticizing Obama. And he criticizes Obama, says he's a nightmare, et cetera, but he doesn't have much more to say about him.